Have you ever felt drained, giving your energy, your attention, your heart, to people and places that never truly valued you? There's a moment when clarity breaks through the noise. It's time to stop chasing and start owning your power. What if the key to respect, peace, and control isn't out there, but inside you? Today, we'll unlock 12 timeless principles that shift everything, transforming how the world sees you and how you see yourself. Ready to rise above the chaos and live on your terms? Let's begin. You've felt it before, that sudden flare inside when someone cuts you off, when a comment lands sharper than it should, when a glance feels like a dismissal. It starts small, a flicker of irritation, a shadow of doubt, a quick sting of offense. Maybe you brush it off, pretend it didn't matter. But emotions, unchecked, are like wildfires. They begin as a spark, then grow, flood your mind, twist your tone, shape your actions. Before you know it, your peace has been sold for a moment of reaction. This is the trap. When your emotions control you, you become a puppet, pulled by invisible strings tied by others' words, by your past wounds, by moments you haven't fully processed. You lose your power the moment you react without choice. And the world knows it. It sees a person driven by their feelings, a person who surrenders their calm for every provocation. But what if you could take back that power? What if the storm inside could be mastered, not by suppression, not by denial, but by sovereignty? This is the first principle. Control your emotions, or they control you. This isn't about becoming emotionless, far from it. It's about becoming emotionally sovereign. It's about cultivating a space between stimulus and response, where you pause, observe, and decide. It's the difference between reacting like a flame licking wildly at every breeze and being the grounded fire that warms without burning. Imagine Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled an empire, facing wars, betrayals, plagues. His strength wasn't brute force, it was control. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That strength comes from knowing your emotions exist, but don't own you. You feel them fully, but you don't hand over your reins." This isn't easy in a world designed to hijack your feelings. Social media demands outrage. Culture rewards instant reaction. We're trained to speak before thinking, to feel before understanding. But the Stoic refuses to dance to this rhythm. They don't perform their pain. They study it. They learn from it. They reclaim it. When anger rises, pause. Don't flee or fight immediately. Ask yourself, why is this here? What does this feeling want to tell me? Feel the emotion without letting it drive your decisions. This pause is your power. It creates a moment of clarity, a moment to choose whether to respond from alignment with your values or from raw impulse. Let's be clear, emotions are not enemies. They are signals, messengers that carry important information about your boundaries, your needs, your values. The problem is not feeling, but being enslaved by feeling. Without discipline, emotions become masters, not guides. You react to the traffic jam with rage instead of patience. You answer the criticism with bitterness instead of calm. You carry grudges that drain your life rather than lessons that fuel your growth. When you take control, something changes inside and out. People begin to notice your presence, not because you dominate or shout louder, but because you embody stability. While others explode, you examine. While others panic, you choose. This kind of calm commands respect effortlessly. It's magnetic, not because it's loud, but because it's real. But mastery demands practice. It's a muscle you build each time you pause before you react, each time you choose reflection over outburst, each time you anchor yourself instead of getting pulled under. You will fail sometimes. You will lose your center. But the difference is in how fast you return to it, how committed you are to standing firm. This control rewires your relationship with the world. You stop giving your power away to strangers who cut you off in traffic or to toxic voices online. You stop revisiting old wounds that no longer serve you. Instead, you become a fortress, a calm center amid chaos. Now consider this. When your emotions are in charge, you live as a passenger in your own life. When you master them, you become the driver, the one who chooses the direction, the speed, and the destination. This shift is transformative. It means you no longer waste your energy on battles that don't matter. You save your strength for what aligns with your purpose. And this control isn't about rigidity or coldness. It's about rootedness, a deep connection to who you are beneath the noise and triggers. It's about living with intention and clarity. This is not a denial of your humanity. It is an elevation of it. You begin to see every emotional flare not as a threat, but as an opportunity. An opportunity to learn, to grow, to strengthen your inner foundation. You study your reactions like a scientist, not judging but observing. You ask yourself, what patterns emerge? What past beliefs fuel this feeling? What choice can I make to rise above it? With this awareness, you step out of the cycle of reaction and into the rhythm of response. You build the discipline to hold your ground, to stay calm when others rage, to remain clear when others cloud the air with drama. The world around you will still be loud, unpredictable, often unfair. But your inner state will be a sanctuary. When chaos calls, you won't break, you'll become the anchor. The one who stands steady, who breathes through the storm, who responds from strength, not fear. And here's the subtle but profound truth. People respect and prioritize those who master themselves. When your emotions don't hijack your energy, when your presence speaks of discipline and peace, others take notice. They begin to align with your frequency, not because you chase their approval, but because you embody your own. This is the foundation for everything that follows. Once you reclaim control over your emotions, you unlock the freedom to focus on who you truly want to be, free from the chains of others' expectations, free from the exhausting cycle of proving and defending, free to build a life defined by your principles, not your reactions. Up next, we dive into the power of focusing on becoming, how stopping the chase for external validation and instead investing in your own growth changes everything. Because control over emotions is only the first step, the journey inward continues. So, as you move forward, remember this: control your emotions or they will control you. The choice is yours. Your power is waiting. You've just taken the first crucial step, gaining control over your emotions. You've begun to reclaim your power from the chaos outside and the storm inside. But there's a deeper truth waiting to be uncovered, the one that changes everything about how you move through life. It's time to stop chasing people. Time to stop running after approval, validation, affection, and attention that were never truly meant for you. Instead, focus on becoming the person you were always meant to be. Chasing others is a trap disguised as hope. It feels urgent, necessary, even loving. You reach out to be seen, to be heard, to be chosen. You bend, shrink, and mold yourself into what you think others want because you believe your worth depends on their acceptance. But this constant pursuit comes with a cost. You give away pieces of yourself, your peace, your values, your time, hoping the void will be filled by someone else. Yet no matter how much you chase, the feeling of being whole remains elusive. Because real wholeness isn't found in the eyes of others. It's built from within. It's forged in the fires of self-respect, self-awareness, and relentless growth. The moment you stop chasing, you begin the true journey of becoming. Look around. How many people are still running after someone's attention or approval? How many are exhausted from trying to fit into roles they never chose? When you stop chasing, you break free from this cycle. You no longer live to please others. You live to please yourself. Not out of selfishness, but out of necessity. Because you realize your value isn't borrowed, it's inherent. This shift is radical. It shakes the foundations of your relationships, your identity, even your daily habits. You might feel lonely at first. You might hear the pull to explain, justify, or reach back out. But listen closely. This silence is not emptiness. It's the fertile ground where growth takes root. It's the space where your nervous system can finally settle, where your breath becomes yours again, and where your true self begins to emerge. When you stop chasing, your energy stops revolving around others' orbits. You stop shrinking your light to fit into shadows that aren't yours. Instead, you invest that energy into building something lasting: discipline, skills, presence, and character. You pour into your work, your passions, your health, your mind. You become someone you can trust, someone whose value doesn't depend on constant reassurance. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more you stop chasing, the more magnetic you become. Not because you're trying to attract anyone or prove your worth, but because your authenticity shines brighter than any mask ever could. People are drawn to realness, the quiet authority of someone who walks with integrity and doesn't seek validation. You don't perform for applause. You simply live. You become. This is what it means to lead from within, to move at your own pace, and to invite others who are willing to meet you there. The chase ends, and the journey of becoming begins. Remember Carl Jung's words about individuation, the process of separating from the collective, breaking free from inherited roles and patterns, and becoming whole. This is painful, yes. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. You can't grow if you're constantly trying to prove your worth to those who never truly valued it. You can't expand if you're tethered to the approval of the past. When you stop chasing, you stop abandoning yourself. You reclaim your center. And this reclamation changes your life. You no longer tolerate relationships or environments that diminish your spirit. You raise your standards, your boundaries, your expectations. Not to push people away, but to invite the right ones in. There will be moments of doubt. You might question if you're being too hard, too distant, or too proud. But remember, growing pains are the sound of transformation. Your evolution isn't about making others comfortable. It's about honoring your own path. So how do you begin? Start by asking yourself, what part of me am I sacrificing to be chosen? What boundaries have I blurred in the name of connection? What dreams have I sidelined to keep others close? And then decide, I am done chasing. I am done shrinking. I am here to build a life that honors me. This decision doesn't mean you stop caring about others. It means you stop making your peace dependent on their presence. It means you move from seeking external validation to cultivating internal sovereignty. As you step into this new way of being, you'll notice a shift, not just in yourself, but in how the world responds to you. You'll find that the energy you once spent chasing is now fueling your growth. You'll attract people who resonate with your true self, not the versions you once performed. Your relationships deepen. Your work gains clarity. Your confidence grows. And here's the next truth. When you focus on becoming, everything else falls into place. You don't have to chase success, happiness, or respect. These come naturally to those who walk their own path with integrity. Next, we'll explore a powerful companion to this principle: how valuing your time more than your feelings can accelerate your growth and protect your peace. Because mastery over your emotions and freedom from chasing others prepare you for the discipline needed to guard your most precious resource, your time. So take this moment. Let go of the chase. Step into becoming. Your journey to the strongest, most authentic you is just beginning. You've stopped chasing others. You've started focusing on becoming your true self. But now comes one of the most crucial shifts: learning to value your time over your temporary feelings. This is where many stumble, trapped in emotional storms that drain hours, days, even years from their lives without building anything meaningful. Feelings are powerful. They're real. They're part of what makes us human. But here's the truth: feelings are also fleeting. They come in waves, rising and falling like the tide. And if you let every wave dictate your direction, you'll never find steady ground. Imagine spending your life reacting to every emotional ripple: the frustration over a misunderstanding, the sting of a careless comment, the sadness from a failed expectation. What if all that time spent in emotional turmoil was instead invested in growth, in building, in healing? The Stoics taught us a vital lesson here. Time is the one thing you cannot reclaim. It is finite. Every second spent tangled in a momentary feeling is a second lost. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." We don't just feel pain, we extend it, replay it, amplify it. And in doing so, we lose sight of what truly matters. You might be thinking, but my feelings are valid. I can't just ignore them. You're right. You don't ignore your feelings. You acknowledge them, understand them, and then decide how much space they deserve. This is emotional maturity. It's the ability to feel deeply, but not be controlled by fleeting emotions. How often do you find yourself stuck in your head, replaying an argument or a painful memory? How often does a momentary upset consume your day, drain your energy, or cloud your judgment? This isn't just wasting time, it's surrendering your power. Now, envision a different path, a path where you feel your emotions fully, but don't hand over your time to them, where you recognize the temporary nature of feelings and refuse to let them dictate your hours, where you choose to prioritize what builds your life, not what momentarily unsettles it. This shift transforms everything. You start asking better questions. Is this anger worth the time it will consume? Is this grudge worth sacrificing my peace? Is this disagreement worth losing sleep over? Most times the answer is no. You begin to value your life's currency, time, more than the transient currency of emotion. But valuing time over feelings isn't about suppression or denial. It's about prioritization. You can honor your pain without letting it hijack your day. You can experience sadness without sinking into it. You can feel disappointment without letting it define you. This is discipline. This is sovereignty. When you make this choice, you start to live differently. You don't need to explain every hurt, defend every slight, or fix every misunderstanding. You learn to let go, to walk away, to conserve your energy for what truly deserves it. This is strength, not weakness. And strength draws respect. People notice when you don't react impulsively. They feel the calm presence of someone who has mastered their inner world. You become someone who protects their focus, who doesn't leak energy into drama or distraction. You live from a deeper rhythm, one where emotional waves are felt but not followed. This isn't easy in a culture that rewards outrage and drama. A culture that pushes us to speak before thinking, to feel before understanding. But the Stoic doesn't follow the crowd. The Stoic pauses, reflects, and then responds, not from impulse, but from principle. So next time your emotions rise, and they will pause, ask yourself, if I spend the next hour here, will it build my life or just drain it? Will reacting now move me closer to my goals, or pull me further away from my peace? This simple question can change everything. Remember, your time is sacred. It's the foundation of your future. Every minute you give to temporary feelings is a minute taken from your growth, your dreams, your happiness. Guard it fiercely. As you master this, you'll notice your life shifting. You'll have more space for clarity, creativity, and calm. You'll move with intention, not reaction. And this brings us to the next powerful principle, learning to say less and observe more. Because when you stop trying to prove yourself in every conversation and start truly listening, your presence becomes stronger, your influence deeper. Value your time over your temporary feelings. Protect your peace. Build your life. Your true power lies not in chasing what you feel, but in choosing where you invest your moments. You've learned to value your time over temporary feelings. Now it's time for the next powerful step. Speak less, observe more. In a world that rewards noise, loud opinions, and constant reaction, the true power lies in restraint. The urge to speak up, to defend, to explain yourself, it's a hard one to master. But when you begin to hold back your words, something shifts deep inside. Think about it. How often do we talk just to be heard? To fill silence? To prove a point that doesn't really need proving? How often do we jump into arguments or conversations before fully understanding what's at stake? Speaking less is not about silence born from fear or weakness. It's discipline born from wisdom. The Stoics taught that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen twice as much as you speak. When you speak less, you give yourself the space to truly observe, to see beyond the surface, to hear what's not being said, to understand motivations, fears, and truths hidden beneath words. Observation is a superpower. It allows you to catch the subtle cues, body language, tone, hesitation, that reveal far more than spoken words ever could. While others are busy reacting, you are busy perceiving. While others scramble to fill every moment with noise, you create space for clarity and insight. When you speak less, you no longer feel the need to explain yourself in every interaction. You stop trying to convince those who aren't ready to understand. You learn that not every comment deserves your response. Not every provocation merits your energy. This quiet strength commands respect. People notice when you don't jump at every bait. They feel the weight of your words because you don't waste them. Your voice becomes a tool of intention, not habit. But this takes practice. In a culture addicted to immediacy and instant reaction, silence can feel uncomfortable, even threatening. People might mistake your restraint for disinterest or weakness. They might pressure you to explain or react. But the truth is, you are simply choosing to lead from a place of awareness, not impulse. Saying less doesn't mean disappearing. It means engaging differently, observing fully before responding, speaking only when your words add value, not noise. This creates depth in your relationships and sharpness in your decision-making. The person who speaks less often sees more. They notice patterns that others miss. They anticipate reactions before they unfold. They understand the dynamics of any situation with clarity. This kind of presence is magnetic. It pulls others in, not by volume, but by depth. It's also liberating. When you stop trying to manage every impression, stop performing for approval, you free yourself from endless validation. You become rooted in your own truth. You no longer depend on external noise to prove your worth. This practice of speaking less and observing more extends beyond conversations. It's about how you engage with life itself, how you respond to challenges, how you navigate relationships, how you approach your work. When you cultivate this inner stillness, your mind sharpens. You catch your own urges before they become actions. You see your emotions rising without becoming their voice. You hold space for your thoughts without being controlled by them. This is presence. This is power. And it's a power that grows. The more you practice restraint, the more natural it becomes. People start to feel your energy, steady, intentional, unshakable. You become unpredictable, not because you hide, but because you choose carefully when and how to engage. This is not coldness. It's intentionality. Not passivity, but perception. Your words carry weight because they are measured, not many. You speak not to fill space, but to deepen it. And when you stop talking just to prove who you are, you create space to actually become who you are. This principle will prepare you for the next step. Discipline creates distance. Because the distance that discipline builds is the space where you protect your growth, your peace, your power. So embrace the power of silence. Speak less, observe more. Let your presence grow in the quiet moments. Let your words become your strength. You've learned the power of speaking less and observing more. Now let's dive into the force that makes all of this possible, discipline. Discipline is not a burden. It's the foundation of your freedom. Discipline creates distance, and with that distance comes clarity, strength, and the power to live life on your own terms. At first, discipline feels like restriction. You wake up earlier than you want. You say no to distractions when everyone else is giving in. You hold yourself accountable when the easier path calls louder. It feels like limitation, denying yourself comfort, ease, and momentary pleasure. Discipline asks you to choose what matters most over what feels easiest in the moment. But here's the truth many miss. That very limitation is the birthplace of freedom. By saying no to impulse, you create space. Space between who you were yesterday and who you're becoming. Space between chaotic reactions and deliberate responses. Space between external noise and your internal voice. That space, that distance, is sacred. Distance isn't about isolation or superiority. It's about protection. Protection of your energy, your values, your growth. When you discipline yourself, you build a boundary so strong that the distractions, the negativity, the drama of others no longer pull you into their orbit. Imagine a life where you move by intention, not by mood. Where your habits shape your day, not your impulses. Where your actions are guided by values, not fleeting desires. That is the life discipline creates. It's easy to confuse discipline with rigidity, but discipline is fluid strength. It's the ability to say yes to what elevates you and no to what diminishes you, consistently and without apology. Discipline builds distance from the old you, the version who procrastinated, who gave in to excuses, who settled for comfort over growth. That old self starts to fade, replaced by someone who rises early, who shows up even when motivation wanes, who pursues mastery instead of shortcuts. And yes, this path can feel lonely. As you grow, you'll notice people saying, "You've changed. You're too serious. You're too focused." Let them. Your commitment is to yourself, not to their comfort. You didn't come here to blend in, or to make others comfortable by dimming your light. You came here to rise, to become uncommon, to build something lasting, not something that just looks good on the surface. Discipline is the invisible contract between who you are now and who you are becoming. It's the silent promise you make to yourself every morning when you choose effort over ease, focus over distraction, persistence over quitting. And the more you honor this contract, the less tolerance you'll have for anything that pulls you backward. That distance becomes your edge, your shield against chaos. When the world around you demands drama, you choose peace. When temptation whispers, "Just this once," you remember the bigger vision. When excuses creep in, you hold yourself accountable. This is maturity. This is mastery. You move not because you have to, but because it's who you are now. No negotiation. No justification. Just commitment. That distance that discipline creates between you and your old patterns is freedom. The freedom to live on your own terms, to define success by your standards, to protect your peace fiercely. But here's the catch. This kind of freedom feels uncomfortable to those who remain stuck in reaction and distraction. They may call you distant, selfish, or cold. Don't take it personally. Their discomfort is simply the reflection of your growth. You're not abandoning them. You're choosing yourself. You're choosing alignment over approval. That's not arrogance. It's self-respect. Remember Marcus Aurelius, the greatest Stoic emperor. He ruled with discipline, not entitlement. His strength was not in power over others, but mastery over himself. He knew that discipline creates the space where true power resides. And what you build in that space is invaluable: clarity, direction, peace. It's easy to say you want freedom, but freedom without discipline is chaos disguised as choice. The disciplined person earns their freedom daily by saying no to distractions, by prioritizing their energy, by building habits that align with their highest self. So how do you cultivate this discipline? It begins with small decisions: waking up on time, focusing on one task fully, choosing what to say no to today. Then it compounds. The small yes to growth, the consistent no's to distractions build momentum. You train your mind to stay present when it wants to wander. You train your body to show up when it craves rest beyond recovery. You train your spirit to hold steady when emotions demand reaction. At first, it feels like missing out. The world celebrates instant gratification. It praises chaos disguised as spontaneity. But the disciplined know the truth. What looks like missing out is actually missing the trap. The trap of a life scattered, anxious, and shallow. When you rise above that, when you walk with intention, your life becomes a work of art, structured, purposeful, meaningful. Discipline creates distance from people and environments that no longer serve your growth. It helps you let go of toxic relationships, unproductive habits, and distractions that drain your energy. You don't have to explain or justify this distance. It's your boundary, your sanctuary. And it's necessary. By creating this space, you protect your focus and fuel your momentum. You build resilience against chaos and cultivate a peace that no outside circumstance can shake. And that peace will prepare you for the next step, letting silence make them wonder. Because when you master discipline and the freedom it creates, you won't feel the need to explain your journey to everyone. Your silence will speak volumes. Silence. In a world screaming for attention, silence is a rare and powerful force. After building discipline and creating distance, you learn the true art of restraint, the ability to let silence speak for you. Because sometimes, the loudest message isn't found in words, but in the spaces between them. When you stop rushing to explain yourself, stop justifying your choices, stop performing for approval, you unlock a new kind of strength. A strength that doesn't need noise to be noticed. A strength that commands respect through presence, not performance. Think about it. How often have you been in conversations where words were wasted? Debates that went nowhere, explanations that fell on deaf ears, defenses that only deepened misunderstanding. The world rewards quick reactions, loud opinions, and endless chatter. But the wise know better. Silence is not absence. It's not weakness. It's density. It's weight. It's the quiet force that holds power, protection, and mystery. When you choose silence intentionally, you stop filling every moment with noise just to be heard. You let your energy conserve. You stop negotiating your truth for momentary validation. And in doing so, something shifts in how others perceive you. They begin to wonder. They question your calm. They notice the space you no longer fill with words. They sense that you no longer react to every provocation, that you no longer chase every validation. And that makes you unreadable, in the best possible way. Marcus Aurelius, a man surrounded by the chaos of politics, power struggles, and endless demands, practiced silence like a shield. His meditations remind us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. He understood that presence itself is the message, and silence can be the loudest declaration of integrity. Silence becomes your posture of strength. It shows you have nothing to prove because your actions and your presence already speak for themselves. You stop trying to correct those who don't want to understand. You no longer explain yourself to soothe insecurities that are not yours to carry. Not every comment deserves your clarity. Not every insult is an invitation to battle. Some things only survive because you react to them. Withdraw your reaction and they fade. This kind of silence isn't cold or passive. It's strategic. It's the pause between who you were and who you are becoming. It gives you the space to reflect, to choose your next move wisely, to protect your energy from being wasted on the unworthy. And that protection is a power no one can take away. People won't always like your silence. They may call you distant, arrogant, or indifferent. Let them. Their discomfort is a reflection of their own need to control the narrative. You are not responsible for filling every gap in their story. You're here to rise, not to soothe their insecurity. Over time, you'll find that silence preserves what words often destroy. Your peace, your mystery, your ability to act from choice rather than compulsion. When you do speak, it will be from a place of principle, not reaction. Your words will carry weight because you've trained yourself not to speak for noise, but for impact. So let them wonder why you didn't respond. Let them question your calm. Let your absence be felt. Because your silence is not weakness, it's evolution. You've outgrown the need to be constantly available, to constantly explain, to constantly perform. Now, your presence is felt in the quiet moments. Your absence is noticed. Your restraint speaks louder than any argument ever could. In this silence lies the ultimate freedom, the freedom to control your narrative by choosing when and how to engage. You no longer give away your energy to every fleeting drama or every demand for your attention. Instead, you protect your focus like a sacred flame. You're not hiding. You're not running. You're showing up differently, more powerfully. You understand that the world's noise is just that, noise. And you refuse to be pulled into every distraction disguised as urgency. Silence makes you unpredictable, not because you're distant, but because you're deliberate. Your actions come from intention, not impulse. Your presence is not performative but authentic, and in that authenticity, you command a rare respect. This is the new kind of power, the power of absence and stillness. When others rush to fill every silence, you embrace it. When they seek answers, you hold space. When they push for reaction, you respond with calm. That calm, earned through discipline and distance, becomes your signature. And here's the secret. The more you master silence, the more you amplify your voice. Because when you speak after long pauses, people listen, not just to the words, but to the meaning behind them. Silence teaches patience. It cultivates clarity. It builds wisdom. And it invites others to meet you on your terms. You don't need to perform for approval or prove your worth. Your silence, your presence, your integrity say everything that needs to be said. So let silence speak. Make them wonder. Make them question. Make them respect the boundaries you've set. Because the loudest power is often found in quiet strength. And from this place of silent authority, you prepare for the next step in your journey, the art of staying calm in chaos. A skill that will test your mastery and solidify your sovereignty. Chaos is inevitable. It arrives uninvited, in your relationships, your career, your mind, your world. It shakes the foundation you've carefully built. It tests your resolve. It challenges everything you thought was steady. But here's the truth. Chaos doesn't have to break you. It doesn't have to pull you into the storm. It can be your proving ground, your training field, your moment to rise higher than ever before. The difference between those who crumble and those who conquer is simple, staying calm in chaos. This is not about being emotionless or detached. It's about mastering the unshakable inner stillness that no external force can steal. It's about being the calm in the eye of the hurricane when everything around you screams for panic. Remember, calm isn't something you wait for, it's something you build. It's a muscle trained by discipline, by choice, by presence. It's forged in the quiet moments where you practice patience, breath control, and perspective. When chaos hits, the world demands your reaction. The noise pushes for quick answers, instant emotions, visible signs of stress or defeat. But you don't respond like everyone else. You breathe. You observe. You anchor yourself. This anchoring is the threshold, the moment where ordinary people panic, but you choose to stand steady. Not frozen, not passive, but fully present, fully aware, fully in control. It's easy to be calm when the sun is shining, the bills are paid, and life feels predictable. But true mastery shows itself in the storms, when the plans fall apart, when the people you relied on falter, when the voices grow louder and the pressure mounts. That is the test. It reveals if your peace was a pose or a practice, if your inner calm is a habit or a facade. Stoic wisdom teaches us to expect hardship, to prepare for chaos, and to remain kind when the world forgets how. Because calm rooted in principle does not depend on external circumstances. It is an internal fortress built with intention. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoics, wrote his meditations during wars, betrayals, and plagues. He didn't retreat from chaos, he ruled through it. And his message was clear: losing your inner state means you've already lost everything. But staying calm doesn't always feel calm. Your heart may race. Your thoughts may spin. You might feel overwhelmed. Yet calm is not about perfect control over your feelings. It's about choosing not to feed the fire. It's about mastering the pause, the breath before you speak, the step back before you act, the moment of silence before you decide. This is where real power lies. Because most people respond to chaos by reacting fast, panicking, projecting blame, collapsing inward or exploding outward. They let their emotions hijack their judgment. They get pulled into drama and distraction. But you move through chaos differently. You move with presence. You move deliberately. You stand out, not because you are emotionless, but because you are elite in emotional sovereignty. If you can hold your peace in the face of provocation, maintain your values amid loss, and think clearly while others shout, you've stepped into a higher league. Not a league of external success, but of inner sovereignty. Yes, you will make mistakes. You will lose your center sometimes. But what matters is how quickly you come back. Each return strengthens you. Each moment of stillness rebuilds your foundation. When chaos calls and everything in you wants to break, remember this. You don't need to match the storm. You need to become the anchor. The anchor doesn't move with the waves. It holds steady, grounding the ship through the fiercest weather. This discipline to stay calm becomes your edge, your protection, your peace. And here's the secret: people notice it. They feel it. You become a rare presence in a world addicted to reaction. You command respect not by force, but by your refusal to be shaken. This calm creates space for clarity, for wise decisions, for meaningful action. It lets you see what others miss in the frenzy. It lets you respond with intention rather than impulse. But this mastery requires practice. It demands that you show up daily, training your mind and body to embrace stillness, even when chaos surrounds you. It means choosing silence over shouting, patience over panic, and purpose over distraction. And when you do, you don't just survive the storm, you transcend it. From this place of calm, you're ready to guard your attention fiercely, because attention is power. You decide where to focus, what to nurture, and who deserves your energy. Your calm is the gateway to this focus, the next level of your growth. Your attention is your greatest power. It's the currency that shapes your reality, the lens through which you see the world, the force that builds or breaks your life. But in today's world, attention is under siege. It's pulled, hijacked, and scattered by endless distractions, noise, and demands. After learning to stay calm in chaos, your next step is clear. Guard your attention fiercely. Protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. Every moment you give your focus away to something unworthy, you lose a part of your power. Every scroll, every click, every reaction to drama steals time and energy that you'll never get back. This isn't just about avoiding distraction. It's about choosing deliberately where your mental energy flows. Because where your attention goes, your life follows. Think about it. What you repeatedly focus on becomes the color of your mind, the shape of your soul, and the architecture of your future. When you fixate on negativity, fear, or comparison, you feed those toxic cycles. When you obsess over approval or validation, you hand over control of your worth to others. But when you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your power. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius said, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts. Your attention sculpts your inner world." And in a culture designed to fragment your focus, bombarded by constant notifications, viral outrage, and shallow validation, choosing what to focus on is the ultimate act of self-mastery. It's a battlefield out there. Algorithms, ads, gossip, anxiety, they all compete for your gaze, your clicks, your emotional investment. But you are not a passive consumer. You are a guardian. Your attention is a sacred resource reserved for what truly matters: your growth, your purpose, your peace. This means saying no to the noise. It means letting go of what doesn't build you. It means being ruthless about what you allow into your mind. Not everyone deserves a seat at the table of your consciousness. Not every thought deserves a second look. Not every distraction deserves an invitation. When you learn to guard your attention, you stop leaking energy into meaningless arguments, petty conflicts, and toxic relationships. You stop chasing every headline, every social media drama, every momentary outrage. You choose instead to focus on your craft, your values, your vision. And the effect is immediate and powerful. You start to feel lighter, clearer, more centered. The chaos loses its grip. Your mind becomes a temple, not a landfill. This discipline isn't cold or hard, it's liberating. It's the freedom to decide what deserves your focus and what doesn't. It's the strength to protect your mental space from invasion, to cultivate calm and clarity in a world obsessed with noise. But guarding your attention requires vigilance. It demands that you pause before you scroll, before you react, before you get pulled in. Ask yourself, is this worth my time? Does this add value? Does this align with my principles? If the answer is no, then turn away. Because every moment spent on trivial distractions is a moment stolen from your potential. It's a moment you could have invested in learning, creating, healing, or growing. Remember, most people are tired not because they work too hard, but because they give away their attention to things that drain them without giving back. Don't make that trade. Don't confuse busyness with progress. Don't mistake stimulation for nourishment. Your mind is not a landfill for meaningless noise. It's a temple for sacred focus. This shift might feel uncomfortable at first. People may notice your absence. They may question your silence. They may accuse you of being distant or uninterested. Let them. Their discomfort is a reflection of their own attachment to distraction. You're not rejecting them, you're prioritizing yourself. You're choosing stillness over chaos, clarity over confusion, growth over gossip. And that choice creates a new kind of power. One that doesn't shout or demand attention, but commands respect through presence. When you guard your attention, your presence becomes magnetic, not because you chase it, but because you embody it. You don't need to be loud to be heard. You don't need to explain yourself to be understood. Your focus speaks volumes. And here's the deeper truth. The more selective you become about where your attention goes, the more you realize who and what truly deserves it. Relationships deepen. Conversations gain meaning. Your energy flows where it's valued and multiplied. You create boundaries that feel like freedom, not walls. This is alignment in action. It's the foundation for living with intention and integrity. So ask yourself daily, who or what is taking more of my mind than they've earned? If the answer troubles you, make the change. Guard your attention as if your life depends on it, because your future self will thank you. And as your attention sharpens, you prepare to embody presence that feels like a gift. Because the power of presence is not in what you say, but in who you are when you say nothing at all. Your presence is one of your most valuable assets. It's the energy you bring into a room, the weight of your character, the unspoken message you carry without saying a word. But here's the truth many overlook. Your presence should be a privilege, not a demand. After learning to guard your attention fiercely, the natural progression is to own your presence with undeniable strength and quiet confidence. Too often, people give away their presence freely, bending and molding themselves to fit in, shrinking their needs to avoid conflict, begging for validation in spaces that don't honor their worth. They chase approval, perform for acceptance, and sacrifice their integrity just to be seen or heard. But you don't have to play that game. You were never meant to dim your light to make others comfortable. Your presence is not a commodity to be bargained for. It's a gift to be shared selectively. When you start treating your presence like the privilege it is, everything shifts. You stop worrying about whether everyone likes you. You stop twisting yourself into versions that don't feel authentic. Instead, you begin asking one powerful question. Am I honoring myself here? And that question changes everything. When your words, actions, and energy align with your values, your presence commands respect. Not because you demand it, but because you embody it. This isn't arrogance. It's self-respect. It's rare in a world where so many trade authenticity for approval, where popularity often wins over principle. But when you live by your principles, your presence becomes a force that can't be ignored. It calms the room, it shifts conversations, it makes people think twice before they speak. People start to recognize the difference between performative energy and rooted presence, between noise and stillness. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't need to prove your worth with endless explanations or justifications. You simply are, and that's powerful beyond measure. But make no mistake, this shift requires consistency. You can't half-embody presence. It's not a tactic to use when it's convenient. It's a way of life. It's how you wake up every day, how you speak, how you walk into every room, how you listen before you speak, how you set boundaries with quiet authority. It's the refusal to over-explain yourself when others don't understand. Because when you truly own your presence, you don't need anyone's approval to keep moving forward. Yes, some people will be intimidated, but they aren't intimidated by you. They're challenged by the version of themselves they're not ready to meet. That's not your burden. You don't owe anyone a lighter version of your truth to make them comfortable. You owe yourself your full self without apology. Treat your presence like the sacred energy it is. Don't beg to be invited into rooms that require you to leave your integrity at the door. Don't stay in spaces where being overlooked is normalized. Don't chase connection at the cost of your inner authority. Instead, become the kind of person who is felt even in silence. The kind of person whose absence is noticed because their energy carried weight. Because the highest form of power isn't what you say, it's who you are when you say nothing at all. When you live like this, something beautiful happens. Your relationships deepen, not because you force closeness, but because you raise the standard. Your conversations gain meaning, because you no longer waste words on noise. Your boundaries stop feeling like walls and start feeling like sacred standards. And your energy becomes a magnet, not because you chase it, but because you embody alignment. The world is full of people desperate to be seen, heard, and liked. But you step back. You know your value. You wait, because you understand that presence felt deeply is a gift, not a right. This mindset frees you from the exhausting cycle of approval-seeking and people-pleasing. It anchors you in self-worth that doesn't fluctuate with others' opinions. It protects your peace. And it amplifies your impact. So ask yourself today, are you living in a way that honors your presence? Or are you giving it away too freely? Are you setting standards that reflect your worth? Or are you lowering the bar just to keep others comfortable? The moment you choose to treat your presence like a privilege, not a demand, you step into a new level of power. A power rooted in authenticity, integrity, and unshakable self-respect. And as you embody this, you prepare to embrace the next truth. Sometimes, growth means outgrowing people. Because not everyone is meant to walk beside you on this journey. But that's a conversation for what comes next. For now, hold this truth close. Your presence is sacred. Own it fully. Share it selectively. And watch how the world begins to rise to meet your energy. Growth is a journey, and sometimes that journey means outgrowing people. But unlike the noise and drama that often surrounds endings, this evolution is quiet, confident, and deeply intentional. You don't have to announce it. You don't need to explain it. You don't owe anyone closure. Because real growth isn't about confrontation or proving a point. It's about clarity, a deep, unshakable understanding that not everyone who was once part of your life belongs in the next chapter of your story. This isn't about judgment. It's about alignment. When you start living by your values, when you raise your standards, when you embrace your authentic self without apology, you begin to see the disconnect. What once felt like a perfect fit now feels like noise. What once sparked excitement now feels empty. The people who once walked beside you may no longer resonate with your vision. And that's okay. You don't have to fight to hold on to what's no longer yours to keep. You don't have to drag others into a season they didn't choose. Instead, you simply move forward, silently, steadily, with purpose. Outgrowing people quietly means recognizing that sometimes distance is the greatest gift you can give yourself and others. It means understanding that your growth is not dependent on anyone's approval or understanding. It's a sacred process of shedding what no longer serves you and making space for what's next. Yes, it can be painful. Yes, it can feel lonely. But it is necessary. Because the more you grow, the more you realize that carrying misaligned relationships only weighs you down. You start to see those relationships not as failures, but as signals, mirrors reflecting how far you've come. They show you where you used to be and highlight the gap between who you were and who you're becoming. And with that understanding comes freedom. The freedom to let go without needing to be right. The freedom to walk away without burning bridges. The freedom to protect your peace without guilt. You stop rehearsing conversations that won't change anything. You stop editing yourself to soothe others' insecurities. You stop shrinking your light to avoid their discomfort. Because you've come to know your worth. You've come to honor your truth. And that means choosing yourself, even when it means walking alone for a while. Remember, growth doesn't always come with applause or validation. Sometimes it comes with silence. Sometimes it comes with solitude. Sometimes it comes with being misunderstood. But you don't need others to get it. You only need to get yourself. When you move forward quietly and confidently, you create space for new connections that align with your energy. You attract people who rise to meet your frequency, not those who drain it. You build a life that reflects your values, not one dictated by obligation or nostalgia. So, embrace this natural part of your journey. Let the space widen between you and those who no longer fit your present. Let the silence stretch without filling it with explanations or regrets. Because this is not cruelty. This is clarity. This is self-respect. And as you rise, you'll find that those meant to walk with you will find their way back, drawn by your authenticity and strength. Those who were only meant for a chapter will quietly fade, not out of bitterness, but as a sign that you're stepping into something greater. Now, as you honor this process, prepare for the next essential truth. Never beg for love, respect, or attention. Because real connection flows freely, and that's where your true power lies. You've outgrown what no longer serves you. You've embraced the quiet strength of walking away without drama. Now it's time to face a deeper truth. Never beg for love, respect, or attention. This is not about pride or stubbornness. It's about dignity. There's a quiet desperation that settles when you start chasing what should flow freely. When you soften your voice, explain your worth, justify your presence, hoping the other person will finally see you, really see you. But begging for love, respect, or attention only binds you to a cycle of dependency. It teaches you that your value depends on someone else's willingness to acknowledge it. And that's a lie. Real love doesn't ask you to shrink yourself. True respect doesn't require constant proving. Genuine attention isn't something you have to fight for. When you beg, you lose the very thing you're desperate to keep, your self-respect. The Stoics understood this. They knew that love, respect, and attention are reflections of alignment, not trophies to be earned through self-erasure. If you have to fight for it, it's not love. If you constantly prove your worth, it's not respect. If you have to beg, it's not attention, it's a transaction. This truth frees you. It frees you from the exhausting need to perform, to justify, to explain. It frees you to center yourself in your own worth. Because when you truly love yourself, unconditionally, unshakably, you become whole. You don't need others to fill you up or validate your existence. Seneca said it clearly. If you wish to be loved, love. But that love must start with you. It's rooted in integrity, in knowing deep inside that you are enough. Not once you achieve more, not once you're seen more, but right now exactly as you are. This knowing gives you power. It allows you to walk away from what no longer recognizes your worth without fear or regret. Because begging for love is no longer love. It becomes anxiety disguised as loyalty, dependency masquerading as connection. You don't survive in fear of being alone or unloved. You thrive in the certainty of your own value. This is freedom. This is strength. This is self-mastery. So the next time you find yourself reaching out just to be seen, explaining just to be respected, chasing just to be loved, pause. Come back home to yourself. Remember, you were never meant to beg for what your soul already carries. Those who truly see you won't need convincing. They'll be drawn to your energy naturally, effortlessly. And yes, you might lose people. Those who only stayed because you gave endlessly, those who needed you to need them. Let them go. Your peace will thank you. Your future will thank you. Your true self, the one who waited patiently while you bent, will finally breathe. From this place, love is no longer a performance. Respect is no longer a negotiation. Attention is no longer a reward. Everything becomes simpler, cleaner, quieter. You no longer chase validation. You choose connection on your own terms. And from this deep center of self-respect, you move forward, stronger and freer than ever. This is your power. This is your truth. And as you walk this path, prepare to embrace the next step, being so focused on self-mastery that you become unapologetically unavailable. Because when you prioritize your growth and your peace, some will feel ignored, and that's exactly how it should be. You've learned to stop begging for love, respect, and attention. You've reclaimed your worth from the hands of others. Now it's time to go even deeper. Focus so intensely on your self-mastery that the world around you starts to feel your absence. Not because you're withdrawing out of fear, but because you're rising in purpose. There comes a moment in your growth when you stop turning your head every time someone calls your name. You stop explaining your silence. You stop apologizing for your focus. You no longer feel the need to be everywhere, answering every message, or making everyone comfortable with your availability. And that's not rejection, that's evolution. When you dedicate yourself to mastering your mind, your habits, your emotions, and your energy, you create a space that others can't easily enter. You become less accessible, but not less powerful. They say you've changed. You're distant, cold, maybe even selfish. Let them say what they will. What they're really sensing is your alignment, your clarity, your withdrawal from chaos. You're no longer a puppet dancing to the tune of distraction or validation. You're a master, rooted in discipline, shaped by intention. Self-mastery doesn't happen in the spotlight. It's forged in solitude. It's built in the quiet mornings when you choose to rise before the world wakes up. It's carved out in the nights when you refuse the pull of distractions disguised as connection. Every choice you make, to stay focused, to say no, to keep your boundaries, is an investment. Energy is currency, and what you invest daily becomes your identity. So if you keep handing your attention to every demand, your growth will always be delayed by their noise. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think or do, only what you do." You don't owe your progress to anyone's understanding. You don't need to keep showing up in old conversations just because they expect it. You don't have to water relationships that once mattered but no longer grow. You simply stay rooted. You build in silence. You let the results speak. That kind of focus feels threatening to those who thrived on your distraction, to those who needed your presence to validate their own chaos. But their discomfort is not your burden. Your growth is. Ignoring others is not about cruelty. It's about ignoring what is irrelevant. The drama, the need to be seen, the pull to compare, the fear of missing out, these are thieves of peace and clarity. You realize the world doesn't owe you a platform. And you don't owe the world a constant performance. You owe yourself the life that comes from deep, sustained attention to your mind, your habits, your standards. This is the divide between the seeker and the master. The seeker chases approval. The master chases coherence. The seeker lives in noise and distraction. The master lives in alignment and presence. The master's power doesn't need defense or applause. It radiates without effort. Others feel it the moment you enter a room. You don't have to say a word. Your presence speaks volumes. So let them feel ignored. Not because you're unkind or indifferent, but because you've remembered what matters most, your focus, your peace, your growth. Let them wonder why you've gone quiet. Because when the noise dies down, the message becomes clear. You didn't disappear. You just decided to grow. You don't gain power by controlling others. You gain power by mastering yourself quietly daily in ways no one sees. There is a presence that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't beg for validation. It doesn't crave attention. And yet it changes rooms, shifts dynamics, commands respect. That presence is forged in silence. It's shaped by the choices you make when no one is watching. To stay calm when everything is chaos. To stay clear when distractions pull. To stay aligned when noise demands. This is the path of the Stoic, not the one who never feels, but the one who refuses to be ruled by passing emotion. Not the one who hides in detachment, but the one who shows up with discipline. Not the one who outshines, but the one who outlasts through principle, presence, and peace. You will be misunderstood. You will be called distant. You will lose people. Let them go, because the deeper you go into yourself, the more refined your energy becomes. And fewer people will be able to hold it. That's not failure. That's the cost of becoming rare. So take all this in. Don't just think about it. Live it. Live it in your stillness. Live it in your speech. Live it in your next decision, your next breath, your next moment of resistance. Let your boundaries speak. Let your silence carry weight. Let your life, not your noise, be the proof of who you are. And when the world pulls at your attention, return to yourself. When the noise gets loud, return to your focus. When others demand your energy, return to your peace. Because the one who lives from that place, unshaken, undistracted, undivided, is not just stoic. They are free. Now you stand at a crossroads, the moment where everything you've heard, everything you've felt, must be transformed into action. This is not just another talk. This is your wake-up call. Your invitation to own your peace and own your power. You've learned to stop chasing approval, stop begging for love and respect that should flow freely. You've seen how discipline creates freedom, how silence commands presence, how deep focus turns you into an unshakable force. This journey isn't about pleasing the world. It's about pleasing yourself, the real you, beneath the noise, beneath the expectations, beneath the distractions. Remember this. The world will always demand your attention, your reaction, your energy. But you get to decide what you give and to whom you give it. That decision, that's your power. That's your sovereignty. When you choose to live from a place of deep self-mastery, you stop being a passenger in your own life. You become the driver, the architect, the creator. You build boundaries that protect your energy. You cultivate silence that strengthens your presence. You rise above chaos with calm. You guard your attention like the sacred treasure it is. And when you do this, not for applause, not for recognition, but for yourself, everything changes. People start to see you differently. They respect your space. They feel your strength. They understand, without words, that you are no longer available to drama or distraction. You no longer chase validation because you found it within. You no longer explain yourself because your actions speak louder than words. This is the power of living by principle, not by emotion. The power of walking through life aligned, steady, and free. So here's your call to action. Take what you've learned today and make it real. Start small if you must, but start now. Set a boundary. Practice silence in a noisy moment. Choose calm in chaos. Guard your attention fiercely. Step away from what no longer serves you. Invest in your growth daily. Become so rooted in yourself that others can't help but respect your presence. And if this message resonated with you, if it sparked something deep inside, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more powerful insights that help you rise, grow, and own your life. Your peace is your power. Your power is your freedom. Own both unapologetically. Live fiercely. Stand tall. And watch as your world shifts to match your strength. Because when you own your peace, you own everything.